and welcome to a new video. Today I am going to be doing something a little bit different compared to the last couple years. How I've done my yearly wrap-ups in the last few years is I have combined my Goodreads stats and all the books I read in that year, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit this year because I have been really loving the trend of tier ranking all the books you read in 2020. So that is what I'm going to be uploading on Wednesday, while today I'm going to be going through my Goodreads stats in a separate video. I love looking at the Goodreads stats. I think it's such a fun idea and just really cool to look back at all the books you read this year. I actually had my best reading year ever, which is so cool. I read a lot of really great books. I completely dived into the romance genre and it's now pretty much my favorite genre, so I'm having a lot of fun and I'm so excited to look at these stats. And I've set my goal for next year already. My goal is to read 100 books, and apparently the Goodreads challenge banner color is lavender this year. I was talking to some bookstagram friends about how the fact until last year, when I don't remember who, but there was some YouTuber that tried to predict what color the Goodreads banner was going to be, and that was the first time that I noticed that they changed the color of the Goodreads banner, because I don't think you can see it on the app hardly ever, so I literally had never noticed before, but now I guess they change it every year. Really makes absolutely no effect on my life, but it's lavender for 2021. So let's go ahead and get into 2020's Goodreads stats. I have my laptop right here. Let's hope it doesn't die during this video. So my 2020 year in books, I read 42,455 pages and 106 books, which is just so insane. I cannot believe I read over 100 books. I think when I first started making Goodreads challenges, my goal was like 30 or something, so that's really crazy. So the shortest book was 68 pages. It was Pinch of Sugar by Jessica Cain. That was a romance novella, so I'm not surprised that that is the shortest book on here. I did really enjoy it though. It was a fun little read. And then the longest book, also not a surprise, is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling. Obviously that's the longest book I've read this year because that is one of the longest books I've read ever. So yeah, my average book length in 2020 was 400 pages, which seems quite long. I feel like a lot of the books I read weren't that long, but I feel like my Harry Potter and Twilight rereads probably skewed that a little bit. Also, not a surprise, my most popular book was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I think that was my most popular book last year too, because it's probably one of the most popular books of all time, and I think I might have even read that twice this year, which I love that for me. Did I? Once or twice, I'm not sure. And my least popular is Seduce Me by Christmas by Deborah Rayleigh. It only has 369 shelves by other people, which is surprising. I really liked that book. I didn't love it, but it was quite entertaining, and it was a nice Christmas romance read, historical, and I got that from the historical romance eBay bookish box that I got in the summer, and it was a fun read. It was very cute. The one thing, it's not an author I've heard of a lot. She had another pen name, I think Alexandra Ivy, if I'm remembering correctly. Maybe she just is more popular under one name or the other, I don't know. But I thought it was a fun little read. My average rating for 2020 is 4.3 stars. Also not surprising, I do not put a lot of stock into star ratings. I don't think about it hardly at all. If I enjoyed myself reading the book, 5 stars. If I enjoyed it but I had maybe some problems, 4 stars. If I didn't really care either way, 3 stars. And then I'll only give a book 2 or 1 stars if there's something I really did not like about it. There are very few books I have given 1-star ratings, especially this year. I think there's only a handful. I just don't really get the point in thinking too hard about the star ratings. I would rather give a higher rating to at least help the author on Goodreads. Even if I didn't absolutely love the book, I'd rather give a higher rating just to help the page on Goodreads, the book page, so I don't really care about ratings. My highest rated on Goodreads is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows with an average of a 4.6 average. Also not surprising. I feel like rereading the Harry Potter books really kind of skewed these stats because obviously they're the most like popular and stuff, so it is what it is. So that is not surprising whatsoever. I wonder what the next one under it was, at least the next one that wasn't a Harry Potter book. But obviously really enjoyed that. I personally gave it a 5 stars, obviously. My first review of the year, this is the first review I wrote in 2020. That's hilarious because I read this in May. It's Dark Radiance by Allison Eldridge. I read this one for review. She sent me an ebook. She is a local self-published author, and I follow her on Bookstagram and stuff, so I did finally get around to reading her book. I gave it a 4 stars. I wrote this whole review. I actually wrote like an actual thought out review. Could you believe it? I didn't write a lot of reviews this year, as evidenced by the fact that the first one I wrote was in May. But I wrote, Dark Radiance follows Lily, who is the daughter of an angel and a fallen angel, which gives her an unprecedented amount of power that no one has seen before. She starts to uncover these truths about herself and her past when she moves to a new town after years of bouncing around from foster home to foster home. This book was such an interesting concept. It had the vibes of the Vampire Diaries meets City of Bones. I've never read a book with angels and fallen angels as the main supernatural creatures, and it was a refreshing change. The magic system underlying the story was intriguing as the reader discovered more and more alongside Lily. This town had a large cast of characters, including angels and fallen, that all had a role to play in Lily's story. I will say at times I had a hard time keeping track of who was who since there were so many characters, and because also everyone had nicknames, and I'm already bad enough with names. By the end of the book, I think I had a pretty good grip on the characters and various connections. Underneath the main plot of discovering the supernatural world, there was a romance between Lily and Asher. At first I did feel sort of insta-love, but overall I enjoyed their scenes together. The end of the book held a lot of twists and turns that ended with an exciting cliffhanger. There was a lot left unsaid and a lot of unanswered questions. The book introduced a lot of new stories and characters that I think could lay the foundation for an exciting series. I think this first installment only touched the surface of this world and these characters. I'd love to learn more about the lore that makes up this magical world, and I really want to learn about why the fallen were disgraced from heaven. I look forward to the future books that can dive deeper into characters, their past, and the change in the world. That was a fun little review. That is probably going to be the only very thought out review that I wrote this year. The rest are probably what I usually do for my book reviews on Goodreads, is when I post that I finished a book on my Instagram story, I just copy what I wrote there and paste it into Goodreads. But here are the books I read. I started with Me by Elton John. Read a lot. Vampire Academy, Harry Potter, the new Hunger Games book. I reread The Selection, the ACOTAR series. I read Twilight, more romance. Lots of stuff this year. And then my last review of the year ended on sort of a low note. I think I read this in November-ish. Like I said, I'm not very good at writing reviews on Goodreads, but this is Tremane's True Love by Grace Burrows, and I'll read it just because this book was really bad. I'm sorry. But I said I really wanted to love this book. I was so excited to read a romance with a medical component, especially considering it was the heroine who was the healer. But this was so disappointing. First, I don't know if it was just me, but I could not keep up with all the characters in this book and how they were related. I still, to this point, like looking back, I don't know who was related to who. Second, Tremaine sucked. This one's really elegantly written. The fact that he wanted Nita to give up her passion of healing infuriated me. Then the fact that she actually did it in the end. Vomiting emoji. Plus, George had the potential to be such an interesting character. I think his story as a bisexual historical romance hero could have been so interesting, and it was completely wasted. I think bisexuality really misrepresented in this book, as he played it off as just a phase. Overall, really disappointed. And I'm still very disappointed in that book, so... and I don't know if I want to read the other book I own by her, but those are my Goodreads stats. I read 106 books and my goal was 90 this year, so I overshot by 16 books, which is really crazy. I'm really proud that I read this many books. I'm really happy that I found a lot of new favorites, and I am just so excited to be going into 2021's reading year. I'm also really hoping to do a lot more content on this channel. I am hoping to stick to this Sunday, Wednesday schedule. We will see once like the semester starts, because I do have my internship this year, so we'll see how busy I can really be, but I do have quite a few videos planned for this month with all my wrap-ups from 2020 and the goals I want to set for reading in 2021. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know how many books you read this year in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!